Hi, this is Joseph with Engadget, and I have with me here the Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1, and yes, it is finally ready for the masses. We first saw this late back at Mobile World Congress in March, when the company trotted it out in unfinished form, and then we had an extensive preview with the in-development slate, but now it is finally in production-ready form, and will go on sale August 16th here in the United States, in a Wi-Fi only version, although its counterpart, the HSPA Plus, is already available in some online retailers overseas. So, let's look at what we have here. This is the 16GB version. There is a 32GB as well, but this particular one retails for $499, whereas the 32GB will retail for $549. And in particular, we have the glossy white model, but there is also a gray, which we much prefer to this. And as you can see, Samsung's kept most of the build from what we had seen before in the preview the same, except now you have the original sort of Galaxy Tab 10.1 glossy finish, whereas before we had the matte, which gave it a much more premium look, and that is what we saw initially on the preview model. But here you can see down at the bottom, the company has retained that proprietary dock for charging. And then around here you have this sort of silver trim, and the speakers are still mounted on the front here on the sides of the panel, which we much prefer, so you don't obfuscate the sound by holding it on the back. And then once again, all of the ports are relegated to the top. So here you can see there's the 3.5mm headphone jack. There's your IR blaster, which you can use with Peel to control your television and whatnot. Here is the covered port for micro SD. Has a nice little groove, so it's easy to come off and on. You can pop it back in. Here's your volume rocker, and then there's your power button. Note that on the HSPA Plus version, you will have an additional slot here to put the SIM in on top. Over here you'll see nothing much on the right side of the device when it's in landscape, and then down at the bottom, if you can just barely see where it breaks over here, this is the famed S Pen, which initially when we saw the preview version there was no slot for it in the actual product's shell, and that was one of the things that we dinged it for and hoped that Samsung would remedy, and in fact they did. And here, if you just pull it from the bottom, it slides right out. And there you go. It activates the screen, and here is your S Pen, if you can see it. Now, in keeping with the build of the actual tab, which is lightweight plastic and unfortunately feels sort of cheap, the S Pen is extremely light. And it has an odd sort of rectangular shape here, which isn't the most natural fit for in hand. But then over here, to make things a little bit easier for users, the function button has a bit of a grooving on it, so you can very easily find it, get a feel for it when you're not looking at the pen. But otherwise, if you do not prefer to use this particular S Pen, there are two other options that will be sold separately. There is the one that we had seen at Mobile World Congress, which has an eraser on the end, which you can simply just go ahead, turn upside down to use, or there is a bigger, girthier holder you can slide your S Pen into, and that's for more professional types if they need to be more comfortable. But for the average user, this is what you're going to get. So let's go ahead and take more of a tour of the device before we go ahead and power it on. So up here at the top, you can see there's the 1.9 megapixel front-facing camera, and there's the ambient sensor next to it. And then if we flip it over, you'll see there's really nothing much to the back here. It is it's pretty barren, and that's something we like to see. We don't like too much cluttering up here, and since there is no carrier partner for this, since it doesn't have any sort of network connectivity for cellular, there's only Samsung branding. So here you can see more of the S Pen slot, and it has the groove that you can just pop out over here. And then up top here, you have the 5 megapixel rear module and the single LED flash. So that's about it for the body of the Galaxy Note 10.1. Let's go ahead and turn it on so we can actually see what we have here. Alright, so here you go. This is the home screen. When you load it up, this is what you get. Right here you have a couple of widgets that are preloaded by Samsung. You have your Weather, Game Hub, Music Hub, and Media Hub. And then down here at the bottom you'll see there's S Note, S Planner, PS Touch, Smart Remote, Maps, Internet, Samsung Apps, and Play Store. Of course, what we're concerned with are the S Pen optimized apps, which of course S Note, S Planner, PS Touch are a part of. But one other really neat trick, and we're going to show you this right now, we'll put the pen back in and then pull it out, and if you can see, immediately a shortcut toolbar pops up. Now you can go ahead and optimize this. There's a settings button here, which if we jump into, you can see you have the ability to set the hovering pen icon, and that's probably going to be really hard to see on screen, but if you get close enough you can see a little icon trail the tip of the S Pen. You can shut that on and off, or you can do a detach sound if you'd like. You can set the screen so that it can serve as battery when it's not detecting the pen, and you can also go here and optimize which S Pen app pops up when you pull it out of its holster, or you can have none at all. We prefer to leave the shortcuts toolbar for the purposes of this demo. So we'll go back to the home screen and we'll just show you a little bit of how the navigation works. So you just hold it and it's pretty responsive. As you can see, this is Android 4.0.4, and of course it is loaded up with a TouchWiz skin, but thanks to the quad-core Exynos 4 processor that is inside the Galaxy Note 10.1 and clocked at 1.4 gigahertz, everything flies. In fact, you won't see any instances of hiccups or stutter or lag. There is a sort of gentle transition that takes place when you're loading things or going between applications, but it all confers a nice sense of ease to sort of the user experience overall. So here you can see we've jumped into the app drawer. It's typical ice cream sandwich. You have your icons down here. This can be swapped out, do a snapshot, or you can long press on the function button here and then tap the screen and it will go ahead and take a snapshot for you. We're not going to save that because we have plenty of our own. So we'll just go in here real quick and we'll just show you, these are the apps that come loaded on here. There's about, we would say 21 overall. Third-party apps that come on aside from your G apps. But one major thing that we did notice that Samsung did, and we applaud them for this, was in the preview build there was S Note and S Memo. S Memo is basically a watered-down, sort of dumbed-down version of S Note, and it was redundant. So what Samsung did was bundle it into S Note as a template, which we're very happy about. Same goes for Adobe's two apps. Previously there was PS Touch and Adobe Ideas, which just like S Memo was a distilled version of PS Touch, and that has been altogether done away with in favor of the optimized PS Touch experience. So we're just going to go into those really briefly and show you how they work. They're essentially unchanged from the way they were back when we did the preview. So you can see here, as soon as you load it up, you have a choice to go in for straight tutorials or tap intro. We'll tap intro here, and again you get the same thing. You can either go straight into a project or begin a tutorial. And much like we had shown you previously, here are all the different options you can do to sort of play around with images, and the software takes you through a very careful step-by-step that should help even the most artistically averse users, or in terms of graphic design, get through sort of image manipulation and get the steps down. Now whether you retain that information is completely up to you. But you can see down here, you're given the instructions. When you complete it, you can just go ahead and tap forward to follow around. So again, it's unchanged. So we'll just exit out of that. One other thing we should note about the S Pen, it now has 1024 degrees of sensitivity, which is something you won't notice when you're doing regular navigation, but if you're in something like S Note or PS Touch, where your gentle touch or heavy touch is required, you'll definitely see a thickness or a thinness. So right now, this is a note that we had already made. So we'll back out of that, we'll close it, and we'll just open up a new one just for the sake of showing you. Open up Note, and as you can see, S Memo down there, now bundled in. So here, first you have your different, if you long press your pen settings, so you can select the different ones, the colors, the brush size and whatnot. We'll go ahead and use that. We'll do Engadget Blue, and we'll just Engadget. And we have to say that the handwriting recognition is excellent on this. As you can see, our cursive / print is of its own sort of beast here. So we'll go over here to the function setting and show you how well it works. And as you can see, it spelled it correctly, although there is a bit of a space there, which you can go ahead and take care of. There's also the shape function, which has been much refined from what we had played with previously. It didn't really do a great job of correcting the geometric shapes, but as you can see now, it does a fantastic job, and it does it very quickly. You can even do very complicated shapes like that. Alright, and then the last thing here, which is the neatest probably of all the refinements, is the mathematical function, which now that Samsung has partnered with Wolfram Alpha, you can go ahead and input whatever equation you want. So we'll just do something simple. 72 divided by 9. Now, oh, that came up as Q, so let's clear that and try it again. 72 divided by 9. Oh, it keeps coming up as Q. Alright, we'll do 72 divided by 8. Alright, now here if we type on search, it goes into multi-screen mode, which is a new addition, which is definitely helped by the power of the quad-core Exynos 4. And as you can see over here, these two apps are running concurrently, and we go directly into the browser where you have all of these different queries pop up pertaining to your equation. Now it's very easy to go ahead and X out of that if you want. You just tap that icon, or you can go ahead and launch any other of the 6 apps that work with multi-screen that Samsung has chosen specifically for multitasking. So for example, we'll go into the gallery. As you can see here, we'll just X this out. We'll load this up really quickly and give you an example of how you can also drag and drop using clipboard. So we're going to take a screenshot here. Alright, and now that's being saved. So we're going to go and crop here. We select the crop tool, and very quickly we'll do that. Done. Now if we touch and hold it, we can simply transfer it. It's pretty neat. Alright, so that's that. Of course, you can also do some other really cool stuff, which is completely stress out the processor by launching as many things in multi-screen mode as possible. Now, one thing that we did was we were able to launch video. So we'll go into video, and we'll go ahead and we'll select the helicopter video. Now we'll go ahead and pop that out. Now we'll go back into multi-screen and we'll open up the gallery. Okay, and now down here you have your mini app shortcut toolbar, which can be customized with the edit button. You can edit whatever you want, and we're going to go ahead and start launching as many apps as possible, just to show you how well the Note 10.1 can handle multitasking. And we'll do one more world clock. Now as you can see, we can still move everything around. Both screens are active, all the mini apps are active, and the frame rate on the video is completely unchanged, and you can move it all around. And that's the power of the Exynos 4 within this. So it's definitely excellent in terms of its processing power. So we're going to go ahead and jump out of this. Let's just X everything out. Make that large screen, and then we'll just kill that. Alright, so that's about it in terms of what this slate can do. The main thing it boils down to is you have this 1280 by 800 display, that's the resolution, which is not competitive with other similarly priced tablets, especially Android tablets at the same price range at $499. You can get Asus's Transformer Infinity Pad TF700, same price, double the storage at 32, and it has a 1920 by 1200 display and a Tegra 3. Also, you have the Iconia Tab A700, same exact specs, just $50 lower. So when you have that, you compare it to the iPad, the new iPad with the Retina display that comes in 16GB configuration at $499. It's a really tough sell because you're basically asking consumers to either choose between their finger and a beautiful display or the S Pen, which is something that's going to be really hard to train people on. And I guess the last thing we'll show you here is just the camera, which is actually rather disappointing. The 5 megapixel module on the back. It's definitely tablets. We've said this time and time again are not for photo taking. So if you're relying on this, you're doing it wrong. But in practice, what we noticed was the trigger. For the shutter over here, there's a bit of a delay, so we had to keep taking photos over and over again to get something proper, and the autofocus itself was a bit finicky, and then the end result sort of seemed to have a soft lit, sort of filtered effect on it, although there was an appreciable level of detail and depth of field. But again, it's the same sort of interface you're used to seeing, and you can go ahead here, and you're capturing, at 2560 by 1920. So even though the display may not show you the full quality when you're taking your photos outside, they'll actually be much better. And then if you go into the camera, unfortunately, you can only capture 720p. You cannot do full HD with this, and it sort of delivers the same performance as the camera does. So that's about it. This is the Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1, 16 gigabyte version, retailing for $499, going on sale August 16th. If you like your tablets to come with a stylus and a digitizer layer, by all means, make this your next purchase. Joseph with Engadget. Thanks for watching.